Miami Heat training camp rolls on. Day 2 concluded today, and there is a lot of news to talk about, especially on the injury front, and it's not positive whatsoever for the Miami Heat. I am Nick Roloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. We'll start with Terry Rozier, who suffered a left hamstring strain following the first practice. This made him miss the second day of practice in Boca Raton today for Miami. And this is absolutely brutal. I know we've talked a lot about waiving Rozier or trading Terry, but ideally for the Heat, as he enters the last year of his contract, he ultimately filled out a role for the Heat off of the bench or upped his trade value enough to where Miami could get rid of him and not have to attach draft capital to him in that trade. Well, if he's hurt, can't really do that. More coming up here in a second, but this is a lot of updates and news around the Heat today. So share this video to Heat fans or on social media. And if you tag me on Twitter/X at Nick_Roloff, I'll give you a like and retweet. Now, the hamstring injury allegedly is not serious. Tim Reynolds reported that he doesn't believe, that being Rozier, isn't believed to be major. And the team is just taking it very precautionary, I'll say, they don't want to risk anything this early in the year, and it makes sense, and they're just making sure that he doesn't re-injure it, because hamstring injuries will linger and be around for a very long time. But I mentioned it just a second ago. I think this is a brutal injury for the Miami Heat. Listen, you could argue Terry Rozier was going to have a pivotal role for this Heat basketball team for the first 15 games of the season when Tyler Herro's out for the first month with his foot injury. He is going to be, or projected to be, a player that actually got some playing time. And it also would have been nice to use that time to pump up his trade value, as I briefly mentioned a second ago. It's obvious Miami doesn't want him, and they could trade him in December or January before that contract becomes guaranteed and save some money as well. But if he's hurt and misses time or doesn't play that well because of the injury, well, guess what? Then it's not going to be good for the Miami Heat. And the injury actually didn't even come at practice. Ira Winderman was told that Rozier hurt his hamstring running post-practice sprints with Kasparas Johnson. I like the dedication from Terry to try to be more in shape, give that extra work, but not ideal to have an injury occur after practice. And I hope this doesn't affect his confidence, because to the same point I was making about him having an expanded role early on in the year, he needs to be confident. He was such a non-confident guy last season, and I think that really spilled into his play, which was so poor. If he isn't confident again going into the year, that could be a bad thing for the Miami Heat. But you hope that this doesn't affect him when the year commences in late October. But another domino to fall from this Terry Rozier injury is the rookie Kasparas Jakucionis. He has a golden opportunity to carve out a role for this Heat team early on this season. I mean, the Heat don't have the most deep guard rotation in the NBA. I mean, if you count Norman Powell, he's a 2-guard, but he's not a point guard. And with Herro hurt, Rozier hurt, if you're just talking point guards on this Heat roster, it's Davion Mitchell, it's Dru Smith, and it's Kasparas Jakucionis. The 19-year-old rookie from Illinois, the 20th overall pick, is likely going to have a pretty large role early on in the season. And I expect them to get a lot of early action, whether it is in the regular season or in the preseason. If we're going to be honest, the Heat play, 7 preseason games? I would expect Jakucionis to play heavy minutes in all 7 of those games, assuming that he doesn't get banged up or pick up a minor injury, because he needs the live ball reps, regardless of if it's against starters or reserve players in those 7 preseason games. But he'll also just probably get minutes because the Heat don't really have that many other guards to play, especially in terms of running the offense. And Dru Smith might not even be ready to play more than 15, 20 minutes in a preseason game as he's recovering from an ACL injury. So expect to see a lot of Kasparas Jakucionis this month of October. What do you say? Do you have confidence in Jakucionis if he does have a large role early on in the season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know your thoughts on how you feel with Kasparas Jakucionis. Moving on with more injury news. Kel'el Larson, it was announced that he had a quad contusion and missed the first day of Heat practice due to that quad injury he suffered at Eurobasket. Well, he is still out. He did not practice on Wednesday afternoon, which makes that 2 straight practices he missed with that quad contusion. I'll say this, I'm not panicking just yet on Kel'el Larson. I hope to see him next week in the preseason. Now, if we're 2 weeks from now, we're like it's the 15th of October, the preseason just wrapped up, and we're about 4 days away from the regular season, and we have yet to see Larson in a game, well, then I will be concerned, because it's like, okay, do you really think Larson's going to be ready to roll for the first game of the season, considering he didn't get any ramp-up time in the preseason? Hit or miss there, but it certainly is something I'm monitoring, but I am not panicking as of yet. More to come here, but this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy sports app that I play every day, and you and I make decisions every day. The right decisions on Prize Picks can get you paid. Basketball season isn't here yet, but football season rages on. Which players are going off? Which ones are overhyped? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your takes into cash all season long on Prize Picks. And you could play however you want. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. You want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter how you play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. And I always do power plays because I am just an egotistical little man, but I'm going more than Chuba Hubbard, 54.5 rushing yards, more than Jalen Waddle touchdowns, and more than Cam Scatterboo, which means I got to go 3 for 3 here. I believe I can get that done. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. It's also time that we have to have a discussion on Kel'el Ware, a player that has dominated a lot of our conversations this offseason, whether it was trade rumors with Kevin Durant, starting between him and Nikola Jovic. Well, Erik Spoelstra may have just shed some light on Ware not being the most aggressive and impactful guy early on in camp. He says it's early, but he mentions the flashes he sees. But he also mentions the flashes where he needs to be a whole lot better, references that Ware is learning how to impact a win, aside from just showing different flashes throughout a game or a season. And that is not the most optimistic thing I've heard. Listen, you Kel'el Ware truthers in the comment section are always yelling at me that I'm a hater and that it's stupid for me to say Nikola Jovic should start over Ware. But the truth is, the Heat have a better roster construction and better roster balance with Ware coming off the bench. And Ware has all the talent in the world. I've said he could easily be an all-star caliber center. He just needs to be better in terms of his consistent effort, in terms of his defensive positioning, and his mindset. And it's why I have consistently said I think Nikola Jovic should start for the Heat without a question of doubt. And it also is a better constructed starting lineup with Jovic in there, with Tyler Herro out, because you need that spacing and shooting alongside his size. So, I don't think it's me hating on Ware, but I know Erik Spoelstra. I've watched the Heat my entire life, and I've covered the Heat now for this is the 3rd season. To me, it's just so obvious that Erik Spoelstra really relies and goes to players that he trusts, know the system, plays hard to their ability every day, and doesn't take anything for granted. And unfortunately, I don't think Kel'el Ware has fully grasped a couple of those things. He doesn't have the trust fully of Erik Spoelstra just yet. I think Jovic does, which is why I believe Jovic should start and ultimately will start. Hopefully we get an update on the starting lineup relatively soon. And when we do, we will have you covered. The season is 21 days away. Stay locked in. Hit that sub button. We're here for preseason watch parties a week from today and regular season watch parties before you know it. All right, let's end the show on a high note here. Goran Dragic was at Heat practice on Wednesday afternoon, and Erik Spoelstra said after the media that the plan is for the Heat to find a place for Goran Dragic to formally be a part of the organization, likely in some front office capacity. He's already helping in various ways, and Goran Dragic doesn't want to coach yet. Did say he could want to coach at some point in his life. But this fires me up, man. I love the fact that we are going to get Goran Dragic in this Heat organization. We've seen so many past players join the organization, whether it's Udonis Haslem in his current role, whether it's Caron Butler, whether it's Steve Smith. Like, I just love seeing former Heat players join the Heat staff. Wayne Ellington, another example. It always eaves me the wrong way, or rubs me the wrong way, I should say, that Dwayne Wade is a minority owner with the Jazz and not the Heat. Like, what are we doing? How did we not let Dwayne Wade become a minority owner in our own organization? It honestly infuriates me every time I think about it. I just hope that same mistake isn't made going forward. And if Dragic wants to be inside an NBA organization, there is no other organization he should be a part of than the Miami Heat one. So I'm happy that he is going to have a former role. But he also may have another agenda here. Luka Doncic, 2029 Heatle. Listen, there's no way around it. Luka Doncic wanted to be a Maverick his entire life. The two teams and organizations that were the most likely landing spots for Luka, if he ever left Dallas in free agency or trade, were the Lakers and Heat. Because he likes Miami, the city, and he has a great relationship with Goran Dragic, who's obviously with the Heat now in this capacity. Well, he's with the Lakers, but who knows? Maybe things go south. If Goran Dragic's inside the Heat organization, he will have the ear of Luka. He's friends with Bam, both Jordan athletes. Just saying. Let me get my pipe dream getting started. Get him in the organization. If he ever wants out of LA, the Heat will be right there waiting to bring him in. All right, I'll do it for today's show. Make sure you follow me over on Twitter for more updates around the Miami Heat. @Nick_Roloff is the handle. And remember, if you share this video and tag me, @Nick_Roloff, I'll give you a like and retweet.